Hi guys, we are back again with Live Well. My name is Katie Burns and I am joined by Miss Martha Austin over here to my left, Jessica Austin, her daughter-in-law, and my mother-in-law, Gayanne Burns. And where we left off last week was talking about relationships, the importance of extended family relationships, the importance of immediate family relationships, focusing on affirming our spouse, affirming family members, respecting their choices, their parenting styles, and just, really instilling a lot of love and connectivity, trying to keep the unity together in families, because there's so many cutoffs in families today. And what I want to elaborate on is nonviolent communication. I left off with that last week, and I want to say a little bit more about it because I had some questions, and I want to continue. So where you can use this formula where we observe something, we say strictly, I observe this, and then you express how you feel about it, and then you say, I need, and then you make a request, not a demand. And you can use this formula if you run up on a situation with a family member or a loved one when you're trying to talk about your own values and perhaps your style and what you welcome or don't welcome in your home. Some examples of that might be language, might be TV time, might be discipline. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. As to what you believe and how you're choosing to parent. So this is a great example of something that you can do to try and not alienate that person, but to still express the boundaries for your child and for your family. And in between breaks, when we had a little bit of time, Miss Martha had a really good comment about that and about addressing it. You were saying, of course, do it in private, not in front of people.
In private and lovingly, and to remind anyone involved, that this conversation is to enhance our relationship, to protect our relationship. But there are boundaries that I have, that it has to be this way, and I need you to cooperate with me.
Right. And sometimes I've seen a situation where, let's say someone has a child, like say I had a child and which this is not my situation, but a family member was keeping them and they wanted to spank the child, and perhaps I don't spank, which that's neither here nor there. But if they wanted to spank my child, and you have to say, no, we're not doing that. That's not the way that I'm choosing to discipline. And they may come back on you and say, well, you're going to have a spoiled brat. Now we have a bit of a heated discussion. So for the people out there that this is a problem, do you have any advice?
Well, I think with your formula, you've thought it out. Whoever's doing it, you have thought it out in advance, and you have said, this is how I'm going to handle it, and I'm going to handle it calmly and right. Well, the person that you're talking to hasn't had that same amount of time or thought when you come to them with it.
Right.
And I would anticipate retaliation of some sort or a comeback.
Absolutely.
Pretty significant.
I think you make an excellent point. I think maybe as us on the other end as well, is when they get mad at us for addressing
trying to verbalize this,
I think we should just not
try to
keep calm.
Understand that they aren't as prepared as you were to deliver this message.
Keep calm and maybe just give it a moment. Let's go separate ways. Let's think about it.
Yeah.
Let's just discuss it later at a different time. If it is a heated discussion, hopefully it will be okay. I understand.
Right.
I'm going to work on it. If I do it again, please let me know.
Yeah.
So
you also can have the situation where you have older cousins of your child, and perhaps they're allowed to play video games.
This happens a lot.
Yeah, and that maybe they're allowed to play video games or watch certain programming, or maybe even they're allowed to say certain words that your child isn't allowed to say, or you don't want your child to say, what do you do?
Well, for example, I have my only child right now is
Right,
Vivian.
yeah.
And so they all make a joke of it that Vivian is going to learn probably bad things from her cousins.
Yeah.
Now, that definitely happens, and there's not a lot you probably can do, because when the kids go up to a playroom and they're alone, they're probably going to learn things they probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
So as parents, when they come home and they happen to say those or do those things, you have to communicate with them. Listen, this is not appropriate. You know. But also, I think it's kind of like the first child. Like, let's say I was to have another child. Vivian is probably going to go to school. She's going to learn things, and then she's going to come home and probably teach it to the younger one. So there's really not a lot. There's some things you can control, but sometimes not a lot you can do. So basically, it's just when they do come home, as a parent, sit down, discuss it with them. And
This is why. This is why we do this in our home. This is why we talk about
I
this
think
in our
perhaps
home.
when your child gets old enough, what you said, Jessica, is perfect, is you need to communicate with them and say, look, I know he says this. That's really not appropriate, and I don't like it very much, but I don't seem to be able to get him to stop. Once you can talk to your child, I think it becomes an easier,
It's not really your child's
situation.
fault.
No,
Especially at
no.
a young age. They're just mimicking.
Yes, every child is mimic. I mean, when they get to school age, they spend most of their day at school with other children, and you're not there to monitor every move.
No.
So when they come home, that's when you can learn what they are learning, and hopefully, get a grip on it. So
Just instilling like what's important to you and your family and why. Trace it back.
But I think be careful not to be, I just have a problem with be careful not to be so righteous.
Well, yes,
Because maybe they need exposure to some things that you may not think are great. But other people, no,
That's a really good point.
Well, Ashley, we just had this conversation because her oldest daughter came home and was saying, she had a question as to why they do this. And she said, for us as a household, that doesn't, that's not for us. That's not how we do things.
Right.
Don't judge them. Don't tell them they're wrong. That's how they do things. But just know that that's just not how we do it.
Exactly.
And the kid and her daughter took it, and she was good with it. She talked to her, and she was fine with it. So I think you have to communicate. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just for our house, it doesn't work. It works for other people, and making sure that they're not going saying you're wrong. You're doing it the wrong way. Because
Well, I think what I'm trying to say, if you love this person that's doing it, and I think you said it earlier, you want to preserve your relationship with that person.
Right.
You love
You don't
them.
want to alienate them.
And that's a line. That's going to be a very difficult line
But
to.
you can't control them.
No, you cannot.
You cannot stop. And just like if someone uses words that you don't care for or you don't use yourself, sometimes that's so ingrained, that it's very hard for people to change behaviors, as I well know. That's what I do all the time, is help people change behaviors. And that's a struggle, and they have to really
Work at it.
want to, and it takes a lot of time. And so just, trying to find a middle with what you can do. But honestly, at the end of the day, you can't control them. You can't stop them for what they do or how they do it. Great. Thank you, guys. I hope that was helpful for you at home. Let's move on. One of the other topics that I think is really important to talk about today is, with all of life's demands. I mean, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like our generation has a lot of things pulling at us to do, and a lot of high expectations. And we have the influence of social media. We're very accessible, with texting and very different ways that we relate to each other nowadays in our society. How do you instill that focus on family when there are so many demands and expectations?
Well, for me, I know that, I guess our generation, my generation is the one that kind of was at the very beginning of social media.
Yeah.
So it's I wouldn't say it's not important to me, but it's something that we do probably a lot more than other generations did. But we're not constantly on it. Like, I just learned that kids no longer, it used to be they don't call, they just text.
Right.
Now it's no longer texting. Now they just
Emoji.
Snapchat or emoji. They don't even use words anymore. They just snap a picture and this is how I'm, feeling. And so yesterday we were in church, they were actually talking about how kids no longer have emotions anymore.
Right.
They really don't feel anything, because if you're just using emojis or you're just sending a text, you don't know the feeling that's behind that. Because if I send you something, you don't know if I'm upset or if I'm laughing about it.
No, you have to send an emoji with it.
Oh, well, I haven't caught on to that. But my hope is that Facebook and social media is, when Vivian gets to a certain age, is that it has died down and it is no longer popular. And we go back, and I don't have to deal with that, because I see parents dealing with it right now and it's a big problem. So I'm really hoping that it just dies down and it's not cool.
Yeah.
And I don't have to deal with it anymore.
It is very difficult, and I actually took a continuing education class on this very topic, because we were addressing in therapy with teenagers, they were not able to verbalize as well as they used to be able to, because we weren't texting. And they used all of their communication skills over text. And so when a therapist was sitting across from them, there wasn't a lot to say. And so we were trying to figure out how to bridge the gap to have a conversation.
Well, I mean, I think it's a big problem.
It is.
Send it to their grandmothers. We can't do it. We don't know how to do it.
Without their.
But then they're like this when they're with you at their house. They're
They're
in it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Quite
You're going to turn
annoying.
that off.
I mean, I guess at dinner, if we were to have, at Sunday dinner, most everybody, TV's not on, unless it was like a big
game.
Big game on.
Unless
We had
it
to
was
watch
Live Well.
Unless it was Live Well or a
Right.
big game, we were watching that. And most everybody puts their phone away. I don't think it's ever been put your phone away, but most everybody, unless Thomas is sitting over there underneath the table looking at fantasy football, which then, no.
Mom's gonna get mad. But for our family, that's really hard, because if you have cows out, if there's a medical emergency, it's hard for them to not be accessible.
Occasionally, on a big dinner, I actually will ask everybody to put their phone down. Occasionally, but that's on rare occasions.
I don't really think it's been a problem.
It hasn't been a problem, because normally if somebody really did answer their phone, it was like you said, it was a cow was out on 127.
Yeah.
And you had to have it.
Do
you had to
something.
have access, yes. So and of course Philip is a surgeon, and especially when he was younger and the children were younger, we had to have the phone. He had to have the phone there, all the time. So, I don't know. I just don't. Everybody brings up the demands you have to deal with in life. I think we all had our own demands, and we saw them as just as difficult, probably, or not as difficult as you all do. And it's, to me, I wasn't overly privileged, but I was blessed, and I didn't find my life that demanding or that hard. And I did everything you could think of. I coached little boys baseball, because my husband was so busy. I pay all the bills. It was just what I chose to do, and you did it. So I think attitude is important.
You've always said that.
Attitude is so important, and if you have a positive, good attitude, if you have a terrible attitude, you suffer. You're going to be as happy as you make up your mind to be.
Yes.
I just think that's strong. You just need to will yourself to have a good attitude.
Yes.
I totally agree.
Sometimes it's hard. Some days are tougher than others.
Of course.
But
Right.
like I've always said to you, tomorrow we'll start over fresh, and we'll just start with
Tomorrow's a new day, Katie. Tomorrow's a new day. Yeah.
Just go to sleep and wake up next morning and start all
Right.
over.
But
I've always had this thing of looking at somebody else and saying, well, if they can do it, surely I can. You
Well-
know, and you go from, surely I can
Yeah.
handle that.
I'm just hearing from a lot of parents, the activities of their children
There's a lot.
are so great. I believe they're starting younger, and they're more involved at a younger age.
They are. They are.
I attended my, I don't know if Amanda Layton is watching right now, but we were in Oklahoma for a cattle sale, and I attended my first kid's soccer game. It was a real cultural experience. And these moms and dads are out there all day in the heat, and they're lugging all this stuff, and it's almost like, whoa, Amanda, you're doing this, and then we're going to sail later, and where did you start off your day? And I'm going, I'm tired. But
It's a lot.
There is a lot, and I'm just, I'm just wondering how you still keep the family when life, I feel like, will run you. I feel life will run you if you're not careful. How do you be careful? That's what I'm getting.
Well, I do think you have to assess, and life, the busyness is always changing.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think you have to assess, okay, are we having fun? Is this healthy? Do we need a little more peace and quiet and at-home time?
Mm-hmm.
And,
And learn to say no.
And how did you assess that? Did you have a family meeting, or would you just analyze that with your husband? How did you assess?
Well, my husband too was very busy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I guess just we were very busy. But I do think the busyness of sports, I think that's increased a lot since my children were involved in sport. I don't know, you just have to assess
How it's working for you?
How it's working. How is this working for the whole family?
Yeah.
Because it does affect the whole family. And adjust.
That's
if you
true.
need
And you
to.
had-
I'd limit
Yeah.
if you need to. Some kids multi-sports. You're not finished with this sport until you're already into this sport, and it's piggybacked.
I kind of turned it, I played softball into my 40s. And,
So neat.
and the way Philip handled it
Know that.
was Philip coached. So he was a part of it. And guess what? I'd be up in the batting cage to bat, and my little kids would be lining the end, cheering me on. Like, kill it, mommy, hit it, run, mommy. And it was like a replay of what I did for them all the time. And they learned to come back this way and
Right.
support what mommy was having fun doing. And Philip supported me by coaching.
Wow.
And actually, we had a ball. That was, and we'd
amazing.
invite everybody back to our house afterward with all the kids. But all of us, it was a women's church league.
Wow.
And we would all go back to our house after and have parties, and all the little kids would be there. And it was exactly the same as me going to their game or their swim meet and cheering them on. And they would say some of the same things I knew I was saying to them,
Yeah.
like, run. I could just hear their little voices in the
Yeah.
background. Run, mommy.
That's
run,
fun.
And they need to be involved in some of the things you do if they can. If you have something like that,
Right.
take advantage of it. I think. But it worked for us.
Yeah.
I think it's really important. I think just the problem is that there's so many things
You
that they
can keep
get.
up with the Jones all day long.
You can do every sport. I mean, they could do
can.
every little thing, but as a family, you need to say,
Yeah.
we're probably going to say no to this sport and just do one.
Yeah.
Or and then we're all going to be able to go as a family and enjoy that. But I just think you've got to do what's best as
For the
as a whole.
family.
Yes.
And every family's different.
Yes.
Every family is
Matt and
different.
Sarah's family thrives on it.
Yeah.
They do everything. Everything.
And they coach.
exhaust
They coach. They have
me.
their own programs, but they love it.
They never stop as a family.
They're
the five of
sports-minded.
them never stop.
No.
It exhausts me. Just
But it's
totally.
always changing too as they age.
Yeah.
As they age out of this thing and into that. So you have to be flexible.
That's true.
Life
Yes.
is always changing.
But it suits their lifestyle. They
Yes.
they
Right.
thrive on
Right.
it. They just absolutely thrive on it.
Yeah.
And some people do what, like for me, I keep saying, oh, I will never do that. And everybody says, oh, never say never. And
She used to say that to me all the time.
I would say, but I'm sure that we will probably be people running around like chickens with their head cut off with, with Vivian, or if we have other children. But I think just as you and your husband, how y'all can handle it.
Yeah. And the same thing goes for church activities. Now, to me, it's, one thing that we haven't addressed today that I know is really congruent with everyone in here is the focus on faith and keeping that at the center of your family. And that's really where all these roots have come from, keeping the peace and being strong-minded and using all of that to support yourself. With that comes a balance in that realm too. I can have people just as busy doing church activities that they run over that also. So I don't want to pick on sports.
No.
But I do want to say that it's important to look at everything. It is important to try and again assess with how it's working for you, because you definitely want to have time for God in there, want to have time to be still, want to have time to rest. That is important, but also have fun and enjoy time as a family.
Yeah, just a healthy balance with whatever activities you are doing.
Yes.
Whether it's church activities, sports, music, whatever
Dance.
it may be. Yes. Whatever it may be.
That's what I grew up doing, dance and piano, and I could have certainly kept up with Matt and Sarah in my curriculum for what I was doing. So really helpful advice. Thank you. Let me transition before we run out of time, because one thing I do like for my guests to answer at some point is how you guys personally live well. Who wants to begin? You can add to what you've already been on the show once before. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
I'm not really good at it. So that's why I tend to try to focus on is communication.
What?
Well, with my husband.
Oh, okay.
With Thomas, I tend to, sometimes either I don't have the right tone sometimes. When
we talked about that, didn't we?
I don't have the right tone sometimes. And Thomas is just kind of carefree and go with the flow. And as he would say, why would you ever get mad at me? I mean, why? But it happens. And so our big thing is communication.
Right.
And Thomas, with him, it is sometimes he doesn't really pencil it down. He kind of forgets about things. I think this is a man thing, not necessarily a Thomas thing. I'm going to put that out there. But I think we have to have communication. And I respectfully say, this is what's upsetting me. And he responds. And that's the number one thing is communication and what's important to us. And family time. Family time is really important to us. And making sure that we are, definitely now that we have Vivian, spending that time together as a family, as a unit. So.
I think that is really good, and it is important to remember, like you said before, that's your foundation. It's at the end of the day, it's you and him.
Yes.
So keep that
strong.
Yes. You guys, anything live well? How you do it?
I think so often in our world, when you're talking about a situation or a person, you're always picking out what's not good about it or what's not great about it, and if I catch myself doing that, I try to say, okay, what's good about it? What's good about that person? What's great about that person?
Looking for
and
the
let
good.
me concentrate on the positive rather than the negative. Because there's, what is that saying? Most folks are like barbed wire. They all have their good points. And you just try to find the good point in whatever the situation is. Because there will be one there.
Yes.
You might have to look real hard, but there will be one there.
Right.
And it makes me happier if I haven't made myself so miserable.
Yes.
So.
And negativity is contagious.
It is.
Just like
indeed.
positivity is contagious.
It is.
So whatever you put out, it helps to spread. I like it. Miss Martha?
Oh, well, I don't know. Living well comes to my mind to try to eat properly, try to get exercise as much as I'm able. I like to walk. Try to nurture those family relationships, to enjoy my family, and to really enjoy my relationship with the Lord. Rise early, I have my devotion time, and through that, you know, I just feel like I'm able to find balance in life with whatever's coming my way, and whatever the situation is. If it's, you know, kind of a crazy time, crazy busy, or whatever, then I just try to surrender that to the Lord and do whatever.
And then I think that's really good to keep that at the forefront, as part of living well. And something, you know, that I like to do with that is, well, let me backtrack just a little bit and say that my pastor, Greg Smart, texted me. He didn't call. He texted me and asked me if I would be interested in a Theology 101 class. And it was at 5 o'clock. He knows that I've been having trouble with my daughter's nap schedule, you know, making it to church. I said, I want to be there. I want to do anything. I can't figure out how to do it. And so he texted me and offered me this option. And when I heard Theology 101, I can't say that it was the most thrilling sounding class. And it sounded historical to me and not something that I'm normally interested in, but I gave it a try. And I love it. It is so neat. And I've thoroughly enjoyed the class. So sometimes you gotta say yes, even when you have a lot going on. Even, you know, I'm personally overextended right now, but I said yes to this because I felt like it would encourage me in other areas of my life.
Yes.
So that's been something neat that I added. But you guys at home,
I wish you would have told me. I would have loved that.
well, it's still going. I'm still in it. We're only 3 classes in.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know who else is in it is Miss Ann Wheeler.
Okay.
She's wonderful.
I know. I want her on the show. She's anyway. Okay, so guys, our time is up for today. Thank you. I had a vision for this show, and it's hard with everyone's schedule to get together. So appreciate you taking time to come out and share, because I know people in the community love hearing from you, and you know, this is a really important topic to be talking about. So thank you for tuning in, and this week I hope that you will take time to live well.